If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I had expected this morning to be able to speak in glowing terms of the cave-in that the Democrats this week had to endure as the government reopened, something they did not want to see happen. They wanted to continue the pain and suffering that many Americans have been experiencing these past few weeks, but that has been taken from the headlines. And instead, the headlines this morning are being dominated by the renegades. Well, the renegade, one of the renegades. President Trump has dropped his endorsement of Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. He calls her a raving lunatic. He also mentioned that she's complaining he doesn't return her calls anymore. He said that she's told many people she's upset I don't return her phone calls. Very long post on Truth Social, which, of course, we will go into. Well, maybe, because it's what it is. Suggesting that she should be primaried. And this has led to numerous stories. It prints out over 12 pages in the tabloid, the Daily Mail, calling it MAGA's darkest hour. MTG's Epstein revolt rips open Trump's rawest wound as Israel, economy, and migrant crises close in. I don't happen to look at this as nearly consequential, I suppose, as the tabloid headlines would suggest. But I think patience is running thin. On the week that we should be driving home the Democrat defeat, instead, what are we talking about? This woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's another one on the periphery, Nancy Mace, who continues to find herself inserted in the news for continuously ridiculous antics. And then you have the Boebert woman out in Colorado, another one. And Ronald Reagan gave Republicans what many call the commandment, don't speak ill of other Republicans. And why was that? That was because the entire media at the time, institutions, were biased and opposed to Republicans, as many of them still are. They are not nearly as powerful as they were when it was Ronald Reagan. When you look at what Ronald Reagan accomplished, it's remarkable, given the media climate, and there was no competing media. That all changed with Rush Limbaugh. And when he came and actually became the unifying voice of conservatism, Reagan had left office already when that occurred, but the fact that Reagan was able to accomplish all the things he did with no media support is truly remarkable. Even with that, it's an uphill battle, even today, with the dominant in their quarters, mainstream press. I would argue that the alternative press now is just as powerful, but they don't realize their own power. All that said, the days of Republicans not speaking ill of other Republicans, I still think it should be avoided. But patience is running thin. This week, the Democrats suffered their biggest political defeat aside from the election and re-election of Donald Trump. Aside from election losses, a pure political defeat, one of the biggest political defeats in their history. There is a revolt inside the Democrat Party between the progressives, the socialists, and they are upset with the leadership or lack of leadership that they perceive from Chuck Schumer, from Hakeem Jeffries. Instead of reveling in that this weekend and pushing the point that Democrat policies have made life miserable for Americans. The signature item from Obama's presidency, Obamacare, has caused nothing but misery and is causing people continuous misery and has ruined the healthcare system. Instead of Republicans with a single focus being able to discuss those matters, what they have embroiled in, thanks to some of these renegade Republicans who want to work with Democrats, is talking about Jeffrey Epstein, who's dead. And I will not countenance anything that he did with his life or the sense of it. But because you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like Nancy Mace, like Lauren Boebert, and now, surprisingly, this kid from California, Kevin Kiley, who's upset because Gavin Newsom has targeted him because of redistrict. He just indicated he's going to go ahead and vote for this Epstein. Just instead of focusing on what we as a party, as conservatives, should be focused on, now they've walked into the Democrat trap and we're embroiled in this Epstein crap, this business of Epstein. The Washington Post today, and of course Donald Trump is a fighter. He fights on whatever field he has to fight on. And so the president has decided to ask Pam Bondi, the Justice Department, hey, look into these Democrats and their role with Epstein. Washington Post editorial board. How Epstein's story keeps growing, Trump's demand to investigate Democrats is political malpractice. Oh, it's okay for them to tee up this Epstein business and to try to attack Trump with it. It's okay for some Republican renegades to join Democrats in this witch hunt smear campaign. But when Donald Trump refocuses the aim of this Epstein business on Democrats, now that's political malpractice. No, it is not. And hint of why it is not, today there's a huge story about how Epstein was texting during congressional hearings with Michael Cohen, texting Stacey Plaskett, the delegate from the U.S. Virgin Islands, where Pedophile Island was, by the way, while the hearings were going on. The focus on Democrats should be there, and some of the Democrats' loud voices are coming out upset. He's talking about, and the Justice Department apparently is going to have a prosecutor, or has a prosecutor now, that will focus on Democrat involvement with Epstein. But no, that's political malpractice. This is supposed to be to take Donald Trump down. But all of this is possible because you had three, at the time, now growing, renegade Republicans who could not contain their egos, who could not contain themselves, and went along in front of the TV cameras. Oh, The View loves me now. I can go on The View. They don't think I'm a bad person. You had three Republicans who decided, let's snatch defeat or try to from the jaws of victory and help the Democrats out with this Epstein business. All the years Joe Biden was in office, where was all this talk about Epstein? Where were these Republicans demanding that Epstein? As soon as the Democrats launched on it, because they perceived some political advantage, here you have these egotistical, narcissistic Republicans joining in. It is sickening. It has been sickening to watch from a political. But James, you're not talking about whether the right or wrong. Look, this Epstein business has been around since Epstein, in quotes, air quotes, committed suicide. It was long before that, how he got out of the charges in Florida. All the millions that he spent cultivating politicians and business leaders of both parties. I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with this guy. Of course there's something wrong. There's a lot of things wrong. But I'm talking about the politics of the day. What this president has tried to do and is trying to do is monumental. And this Epstein business is a distraction from it. And you have Republicans that have decided, let's cross the aisle and extend the finger of friendship with people that want to undermine what is happening here. And it is political idiocy. And I'm glad that Donald Trump is finally dispatching some of these people in the Republican Party, and I hope they're more. And I hope they're primary challenges, and I hope that they are well-funded primary challenges with viable candidates who understand the magnitude of what is trying to be accomplished in these 4 years. Instead of marching to their own beat with their narcissistical egos leading the way.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
In some other news, and we will get to your calls on all this. I can't wait to hear what Princess Diana has to say about this stuff. If this is on her radar this morning, and she wants to talk about it. I am beside myself. It was this past week that Marjorie Taylor Greene questioned if Donald Trump is still the America First president. And no one cares about the foreign countries. Nobody cares about the never-ending amount of foreign leaders coming to the White House every single week. She said, this woman is this is just ignorant. And yes, we do care about our relationship with foreign countries. It's ignorant. And the question whether Trump is still trying to work toward America's interest first or whether he puts that, for her to even question that is an act of betrayal. She wouldn't even be in Congress if it were not for Donald Trump and his message. But no, she's bigger now. That ego is beyond big, in my view. There are other things in the news besides all of this, which I may be returning to time and time again, this program. But this eruption, I suppose, had to happen. In the old days, there was party discipline. You wouldn't go against your president. You would not do it. There was a political price to be paid. And it's about time that Republicans start learning that there is still a political price to be paid for putting yourself above the agenda set by the party leader, in this case, the President of the United States. And you can disagree. There's a big difference. There is a huge difference between saying, look, on an issue of policy, I want to stand up for my constituents. There's this. But when you start questioning as this, is the president still America first? This isn't about anything but trying to elevate herself, in my view, over the party and over the president. When you start questioning the motives of the president of the United States, and then when you go hand in hand and collude with the political enemies of your party to help undermine your president, there needs to be a political price paid. And it's about time. It's the gloves need to come off with some of this. And I've been one of the people. My gloves have been on. I've tried to avoid talking about the Nancy Mace. And look, Nancy Mace makes sense on so many policy issues. But then you have to deal with the other Nancy. She's running for governor of South Carolina. Ugh, Lord help us. But she may be the most viable candidate there. I'm not going to ever support the Democrat. So if it's Nancy Mace, it's Nancy Mace. But I'm just saying, Lord help us. This Boebert woman has been, what do these three women have in common? They're always in the news for something other than politics. Anyway, I may be a little too harsh, and if I am, I will apologize.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
If you make more money than the average person, then you should use that wealth to help people that don't make as much money as you.
What?
Because really, what are you using all of that money for? Because, yeah, you can have generational wealth, but you can't create generational wealth if only one generation is cooking.
What?
Generational wealth is supposed to be generations that get to receive abundance because we all work together. So if we aren't sharing and being considerate, then that's, kind of why we're in the predicaments we're in.
Princess Diana is going to be with us a little bit later and yes, there are other things in the news. This new mayor-elect in New York is now suggesting that people boycott Starbucks. Liberals have this, I think it's Red Cup Day or something. I don't know what the hell that is because it's supposedly a real big day on Starbucks. You have Starbucks union people demanding, of course, they don't get paid enough money to pour coffee, or mix coffee drinks. So they're out boycotting Starbucks, and now you have Mondami with a gazillion Starbucks locations in New York providing tax revenues to the city to help keep the city afloat. This guy, this 31-year-old, or whatever he is, 33-year-old, 34 years old, I'm reading here, wrote, Starbucks workers across the country are on an unfair labor practices strike, fighting for a fair contract. While workers on strike, I won't be buying any Starbucks, and I'm asking you to join us. Together, we can send a powerful message. No contract, no coffee. This is the mayor suggesting people boycott one of the businesses that has flourished in New York and that produces major tax revenues. This is just, it was coming with this guy, so you knew it was coming when they elected him. So here we go with the business hate. Let's just take the side, whatever. I bet he doesn't even know what is in the contract, how it would affect the bottom line. In fact, you know what? I wonder if whether we put it in the soundbite roster, because there was, I saw an interesting discussion on businesses and how a lot of these people on the left don't understand business at all. Well, I'll look for it and search for it. Meanwhile, Princess Di's listening. I know she is because we're already communicating via text. Princess Di, this next one is for you. Dedicated to you. Princess Di and I'm reminding you, had an agreement, a bet. As the political season was unwinding, that the Democrat nominee for president, according to Princess Di, would be the former First Lady of the United States, Ms. Michelle Obama. I have, let me look, it was right there. I keep it within eyesight. I have a check from Princess Di, which she graciously framed for me before she sent it, as she acknowledged that I was right all along when I said Michelle Obama will never be president. Not interested, not running. Some of my staff here at the time sided with Princess Diana. Oh, you're wrong. Princess Diana's right. Oh, you're wrong. First of all, they didn't understand. Princess Diana and I have a long history. We don't bet often with each other, but when we do, there's a track record. Now, so with all of that backstory in mind, I would like to present to you the woman that Princess Diana thought would be the Democrat nominee for president. Our First Lady, former First Lady of the United States. And Princess Diana, she has a special message to you white folks. And those of you people who are Caucasian in the audience, please pay attention to your former First Lady of the United States, Michelle is it Michelle Hussein Obama or just Michelle anyway, Michelle Obama. And here she is.
Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim. And we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all. It is exhausting and it's so expensive and it takes up so much time. Braids are for y'all so we can work harder and focus on the work. So why do we need an act, an act of law to tell white folks to get out of our hair? Don't tell me how to wear my hair. Don't wonder about it. Don't touch it. Just don't.
The woman that they wanted to be, that some Democrats wanted to be president, of course, Princess Diana never did. We found that cut. Elias found it. I didn't find it. Elias found it. It is a businessman who has restaurants in New York, explaining why he is not expanding after the election. So you have Mondami already now attacking Starbucks, suggesting people boycott one of the businesses that helps fund New York with tax revenue. Boycotting. You have the mayor-elect boycotting a major business. And this is the cut. Restaurant owner in New York was, I believe it was on Fox Business. Anyway, let's listen in.
You're definitely not going to add any more restaurants here under this new leadership. Why do you take such issue with the new mayor?
Currently, we had 3 leases ready to sign in October. Upper West Side, Upper East Side, and West Side Midtown to expand Diner 24, because we were the first to bring back the 24-hour diner post-COVID. Because remember, all of them closed, and we brought back the 24-hour diner. And it really was such a success. We wanted to open 4 altogether just in the Manhattan area. But, when I start hearing uncertainty and I start hearing, defund the police and a lot of uncertainty in the small business areas of what I'm hearing this upcoming mayor campaigning on, we like clarity. We don't like guessing. So right now we're just like a sit back and wait. and see if he could pass some of these things that he campaigned on, because we're not going to open businesses in that climate.
So if not in New York City, where else might you open more business?
Well, we have 2 diner leases ready to go in Miami, where I am right now. And we have plenty of capital to expand because the business is doing so well, and I believe there is a need for a 24-hour diner. But when you get to that $20 price point, people don't, the politicians don't understand it because they never ran a lemonade stand. But when you raise minimum wage to $30, at that point, that $12 hamburger becomes $22. And it's not going to work when you're in the fast casual business where the average ticket is $15 to $24 a person. That's basically a nail in the coffin. You're out of business. And all I say to the mayor, upcoming mayor, is, and actually he's quite impressive for a 33-year-old, but he's never run a business. He's never run a small business. And to me, I think he needs to open the doors for dialogue or debate with small business owners like myself and other restaurateurs and other small business owners to open dialogues. I think the best thing for all of us is a better New York City. And I just think his policies, his socialistic policies, do not work.
Yeah, they don't work. And he's right. This guy never ran a business in his life. All these grandiose plans. Oh, $30 minimum wage. They just think the money falls out of the sky. Oh, boycott a business. Because we want it fair. He has no idea what fair is. How about fair to the business owner? Fair to the business owners who are not there to do an extension of government and create charity. They're in business to make a profit. And if you rob them of a profit, they have no need to stay in business. It is astounding to see how these people do not understand. Look, we have some telephone calls. I invited people to call. It's going to get crazy busy as we continue this, the fastest 3 hours. So let's head to the telephones very quickly and stop in with Joseph, who's calling from Manhattan, New York. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Bo. That lying communist bum, no man damn me, we don't want me, got away with election fraud, lying about fake free buses. It's almost like that Jekyll and Hyde song by Annie Haslam, the Renaissance Band. And that New York Governor Hochul waited, and then after the election announced no free buses. Hochul should have said no.
Well, to her credit, look, as much as I dislike Hochul's policies, to her credit, she did say at the time when he was talking about free buses that she doesn't know whether that's possible or not. She didn't just wait till afterwards. Now, what Hochul did do was, after all this I'm not going to raise taxes business, late this week, Governor Kathy Hochul of New York suggesting that she might be okay with raising corporate taxes. That's still a tax hike. And it's on businesses. So I think that people that live, whether it's in New York or Seattle's another one. We played yesterday the wish list of the incoming mayor-elect of Seattle, who lives with her whose parents were still supporting her financially while she was running for office. It's astounding. Let's go to Connecticut and check in with Tate. It says, Tate, good morning. How are you, Tate?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Listen, just first of all, last week you spoke about this woman. You had her on, and she was talking about her fine for $400. And your lady Di came on, and she said that, basically she takes the subway and there's no problem. I was just wondering how she would feel if that was her who got mugged, or her daughter, or her sister. That's number one. Number two, Marjorie Taylor Greene is pissed because Trump won't endorse her for what she wants to do. Number three, Michelle Obama is full of it because I'm a hairdresser, and I do all kinds of hair. And the black girls like to wear their hair straight sometimes, but guess what? The white girls want their hair curly. So that's a bunch of crap. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you. You rounded all three. That was, by the way, what she's talking about. Last week we played the soundbite of a young woman who took the fine for congestion parking. Congestion pricing in New York. She travels by car. Didn't want to travel on the subway because she didn't feel safe. She was fined $600 in the ticket and was annoyed about it. It was Lizzie. It wasn't Princess Di. It was our very own Lizzie Radabali who talked about that story with us. Thank you so much, Tate, for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to E. Frank in Astoria, New York. Hi, good morning. What is the point you'd like to make?
Yes, Snerdley. I'd just like to say, I hope that Curtis Lewa finds a new radio job. He's a fellow...
Listen, hold it. Stop it. This is not what it said you wanted to talk about. I love Curtis, but this is not the want ads. If you don't want to talk about what it is that you call into the show to talk about, I'm going to excuse you. So thank you for your call. We'll move on. Michael in Rockland County, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning. Just a quick point. Excuse me. Obama has been called the deporter-in-chief, and it's been reported he deported between 2.5 and 3 million illegal aliens. I'm curious how he did that. Did he use ICE? Did he use federal troops? There were no riots. There was no media.
There was media. There was media.
What?
There was media because there was an eruption in the Democrat Party from the Hispanic caucus in Congress, and he slowed down his deportation efforts. When Obama first got into office, those first years, which is so remarkable to me that people forget the history. Number one, they kept talking about all the DACA stuff, all this stuff. Obama didn't do anything except deport. That was his, let's do deportations. And they were deporting people every single day. The news media didn't care. Nobody cared.
That's my point.
But the activists started speaking up, and they made it a big deal. And then before the elections, I'll have to go back and look at the timeline, but I believe that it's either before the midterms or after the first term when he was running for his second term, all of a sudden they slowed down all the deportation because they took it seriously. Because it started to get a little steam.
Okay. Can I make a quick point about inflation?
Sure you may.
So during the Biden years, our pricing, because of inflation, the 9% at 1 year and so forth, went up about 20-30%. So something that cost $1 at the beginning of Biden cost $1.20 to $1.30 after Biden. And despite the rate of inflation going down maybe to 2%, that's 2% on top of the $1.20, the $1.30. That's going to keep rising unless things are done like energy, regulation, and so forth to bring some of the pricing down. But the idea that pricing is going to go down in a matter of 2-3 months in Trump's administration is absurd and ridiculous. And I don't know why the Republicans don't hit that point harder and explain
because
that
some of them are too busy talking about Jeffrey Epstein and wanting to do that because some of them are focused there. Now, Donald Trump has, by the way, backed off the tariffs on coffee and what else was it? It was coffee and something else. The coffee one stuck with me. I'm like, oh, finally. Because, coffee prices have been going up the wazoo. But that said, there's also a period, and we're in that period right now, and Princess Diana has talked about this. There's going to be a period of time before all the things that they have been saying that have happening, all the things they have been doing, the economy starts to feel it. And that should happen sometime early next year. We're going to start to see the impact of things. And prices may go down on a few things. But as you said, it's not going to be an overnight fix. And this is the rough patch that we're in right now. So, yeah, there are people that are concerned. And by the way, I agree. One of the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene said that I think is true. She, on one of her rants, went on how you can't tell people prices are lower when they're going in the grocery store and they see what the prices are. It makes them annoyed. It makes them mad. And I agree with that. You know, prices are what they are. And that was, by the way, some of the things that we used to laugh at during the Biden years. They tell us that things are getting lower, when in fact you go to the store every week and you see that they're not getting lower.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I found that story, by the way. The Trump administration is going to lift tariffs on foreign products, including beef, tomatoes, bananas, and coffee. See, the only one I could remember was coffee. It just goes to show you where my brain is at. Yeah. So it's beef, tomatoes, bananas, and coffee, and the prices of those items should start to come down now that some of these tariffs are lifted. And there is a big discussion that has been happening these past few weeks on the Argentinian beef and et cetera, what beef producers are going through. All part of the shakeout that's happening with these tariffs. And, of course, we're expecting that big Supreme Court ruling on tariffs. James Golden, Snerdley, hour number uno in the can.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Lizzie Radabali in the house. Good morning, Lizzie.
Good morning, Bo. Good morning. I'm vibing this Saturday morning. How are you doing?
I am vibing, too. Lizzie, you know, I've decided that every week you send me great stories.
Yes.
Every week. And I love these stories. If we'll try to get to as many of them as we can.
Oh, thank you.
But I also decided every week because I tell you, I think about you all the time during the week. Stuff comes up.
I'm honored.
And every single week, I wonder what Lizzie would say about this. So I'm going to have one for you, too. But first, I want to talk about this one that you sent me, Lizzie, with this TikTok influencer.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my
Lizzie.
goodness. Yeah, cheaters beware. Do not move to North Carolina, because let me tell you, I did not know that this law existed. In North Carolina, did you know that this was a thing, Bo?
No, Lizzie, I did not.
In North Carolina, they have an alienation of affection law, which allows someone, a spouse, to sue the person they blame for an affair that ended a marriage. So you can sue the adulterous partner of your spouse if you are like jilted in that way, if you are, a scorned lover.
Let me see if I get this right. Let me see if I have this right.
Yeah.
So you're in a relationship with somebody. If a third party enters with their affections and the person that you're in love with says, yeah, you're out, he's in, or you're out, she's in, or whatever the case may be. You're out, someone else is in. The person that's out can then sue you or sue the person that interfered in the relationship. Did I have this right?
Exactly. So yes, if you have a partner who has some wandering eyes, pack up, move to North Carolina, because maybe those wandering eyes will result in a huge payday for you. Because man, the settlements that have been, in North Carolina history, one actually totaled $30 million. This settlement of a trucking company wife. But that's not the center focus of this story. The most latest story was a settlement of $1.75 million. Nearly $2 million. So this woman, an influencer, has been sued she now has to pay that. A jury has found her liable. So not only was she sued, not only did she have this crazy affair, this whirlwind romance that was, outside of the bounds of someone else's relationship, and then she now a jury is even like, you're in trouble for this. Not just the wife of the affair partner in this case. But so, criminal conversation and alienation of affection. Those are the charges that she is guilty of, according to this jury.
Goodness. And she was ordered to pay $1.75 million for destroying the marriage.
To the ex-wife. Yes, to the ex-wife. That's my favorite part, is that this money, yes, does go to Akira Montague. That is the ex-wife of Tim Montague, who's at the center of the story. And the girl, the fair partner in this, was Brene Kennard, an influencer. She has nearly 3 million followers on TikTok. So she has a huge platform. And maybe that platform and, watching, I could only imagine Akira, the ex-wife in this case, was watching this girl, live her life on TikTok, get a bunch of social clout, and then she's like, hey, that's my husband that she's with. She's idealizing this life, but she stole my man. And so now she stole not really stole, but now she took back $2 million right for her own good. So, I support. And something else, when I was reading this story, in 2021, like I said, there was a history in North Carolina. There's a long history of ex-partners suing their former partner because of, infidelity. A former state senator, Rick Gunn, settled a lawsuit for $3 million with Arthur Johns. Johns was his legislative assistant, and he had a long-running affair with his wife. It was a little reminiscent of the Gavin Newsom scandal. Yeah, it makes you think, like, too bad he wasn't the governor of, maybe not governor, but he wasn't in North Carolina at the time. His former chief of staff would have had a huge payday.
Love it. Well, that brings me then to the story not a story. It's actually one of the people since we're on relationships. So I'd just like to get I thought about you. I said, I wonder what Lizzie would think about this. I wonder what Lizzie would think about it. So Lizzie, here it is. And you'll tell me and tell the world what you think about this young lady who's in quest for a relationship. And she has very clear ideas on how the relationship should be, what her partner should bring to the table.
These are the requirements that you have in order to date me, a single mom of 3 kids. Number 1 is that you need to be making at least $130K a year. And you need to have at least 2 side hustles. If you cannot make $130K or more, then you are out of my league. How do you expect to give me money for my kids if you only make $50K a year? Second is I don't date men that are younger than me because for obvious reasons. So if you are 26 and over, then you qualify. 26 to 35 is the age limit. Okay, I feel like 35 is pushing it because they look old as already. Oh, I'm 26. I'm a baby. So yeah. You have to have at least 3 cars under your name. Your second car has to have 8 seats because I have 3 kids. Oh, I want them to be comfortable whenever we go with you on a trip or something. You want me to come with you? I'm gonna bring my kids, and you need to have enough space for my kids. So that's why I require you to have an SUV and a vehicle of your own if you're going to be dating me. Another requirement is that you have to have a property under your name, and you have to be looking into getting your second property. Have to get a home that has 6 rooms because each of my kids have to be in their own room. So you have to be considerate. Purchase a house that has 6 rooms because that's only common sense. And if you cannot meet those requirements, then you're not the one. The last requirement is that it has to be pink. If it's not pink, no. Pink and brown go together. Pink and brown. Like, what? Duvalin,
What do you think, Lizzie?
Well, honestly, she sounds like a catch. She sounds like a catch. I think that there is a man for her out there 1,000% that will check every one of these boxes, and that will, just fall in line with that, provided that she, checks his boxes. I mean, the one thing that I will say is there is someone for everyone. I know that may be like a delusional take. I don't think it is. I think it's a very hopeful. I think it's an optimistic. But I do think that it's founded in a lot of, not just anecdotal evidence, but, look around. Like, the people who are coupled up sometimes, you ever, see a couple and you're like, what the heck? How did
No,
that
I don't.
person...
I don't try to judge I don't look, Lizzie. I just want.
I make a billion judgments in my head like an hour. Okay, the human instinct is to do that. You judge to be safe. You judge for your own safety. And yeah, I take a look at some of these couples like on the subway canoodling, and I'm like, she's out of his league. She could do better. He's too short for her. He's like, I go through these things, but you know what? The truth of the matter is, these two people, they found each other. So no matter what my judging eyes think, that's their life. That's the way they're living it. And like I said, there is someone for everyone. This woman.
So you think that this guy?
Granted, this is a lengthy list. This is, everyone has their standards. Do I think that it's a little ridiculous what she's asking? I mean, 3 cars? Why do you as one person need 3 cars?
A car for her.
A car for her, an SUV for the kids.
For the kids, and his own car. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what she looks like, but
She's a good-looking gal.
Okay, I was about to say.
Wait a minute, let me just say this. Surface. Because I don't know whether you've noticed this in life or not. Sometimes very good looks, a person you think is very good looking, once you get to know them, they don't look as good.
Yeah, no, their personality doesn't have to do the heavy lifting that us normal looking people have to do. Like it's they got it made. But yeah, most attractive people, like insanely attractive people, the people that you look at and you're like, whoa, those people suck. Those people have the worst personalities ever. And I don't like those people. But this woman.
But you're okay. You think that this is totally cool to go out with a list like this.
Yeah,
on social.
She's putting it out there. It's not like she's saying, "Oh, I'm okay with whatever you do," and then she has an argument like, "Oh, you're not making 130K." Like, no, she said from the jump she needs you to make 130K. So you need to come with that pay stub correctly from the jump if you want to, be in her league that she set aside. But there is someone for everyone, and there is a guy who will, like you said, she's an attractive woman, so
yeah.
Any guy with an attractive woman, they make some concessions. They do some things that they wouldn't normally do.
Really?
Yes,
really?
Yes, it's
really?
the way
Any
of
guy
life.
Wait a minute. Understood. I'm getting there. Any guy with an attractive woman has to make concessions because she's attractive. Did I hear you right?
Not every time, but I'm saying that they do. That's something that they do because, think of the curve, of the hot and crazy line that I think that's a popular, male humor thing. If she could be this crazy if she's this hot. There's a whole correlation between the two. So, yeah, no, there are concessions.
I didn't even know about that line, but I could write a book on it.
Yeah, I think it's a joke from a sitcom, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, no, there's a guy who will see that attractive girl and he will have 130K in his pocket. He'll magically have 3 cars and a property in his name. And he's going to say, man, that's my type of woman. And guess what? She's going to say, oh my God, finally, that's my type of guy. And they're going to end up happily ever after. And you know what? I think that's a beautiful thing. I think love is beautiful.
It was worth it, ladies and gentlemen. It was worth it. That's what I say. I thought of Lizzie. As soon as I saw it, I thought, I wonder what Lizzie thinks.
I love that I'm front of mind for that. And I love relationship advice has become my favorite thing to do on our segment here. I really enjoy that.
Okay, well, Lizzie, thank you so much. And if you, and by the way, I do know people in North Carolina that recently got married.
Ooh. Be careful. Check their phones.
I did not know about the alienation of affection clause in North Carolina.
Yeah, maybe move to South Carolina. I don't know.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Bo. Always a great time.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, we're going to take some more calls. We have a call from Jerry. I want to get to this call because I don't want him to hang up He has a great question. Jerry in Chicago. Welcome. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, James. Thanks for taking my call, buddy. Listen, I am really getting frustrated here, okay? When is this horse dung going to stop? We didn't elect these judges to dictate Trump's policies, okay? I mean, I've lived through Nixon, and I've never seen hatred for a politician like this guy. Okay, so my question is this. Say if Trump were to have to resign for some medical or for some reason, okay, and he's out of the spotlight and Vance takes over as our president, will the hatred and the vitriol and all that brutal political speak stop?
No.
No.
See, Jerry, you just said something that I think is very key to all of this. You said I lived through Nixon and they hated Nixon.
Oh,
now just think about this. Just think about this. Go through every Republican president since Richard Nixon. You lived through Nixon. They hated Nixon. What happened after Nixon? Okay, what happened? What happened when Reagan was in office? First of all, after Nixon with Gerald Ford, they tried to drive him out of office too. Even though first non-elected, he didn't want, but then after that, you had the Watergate cycle. After that's all over, what do you have? Ronald Reagan in 1980. They hated
did they ever?
They hated Ronald Reagan. Okay,
James,
let's go after
James, everything this guy does, he's being sued for. Okay?
Right.
We got judges. I read the Chicago papers. We got a judge that's going to release those people from the ICE facility. What kind of crap is that?
Okay, but here's the thing. These judges are stepping up because who has stepped up? Because Donald Trump has stepped up. Donald Trump is doing things, and think about this, that we have not seen a Republican president do. He's taking on the entire institution of the Democrat Party on, and he's not doing it piecemeal, all at once. Every day, he's firing on all cylinders. So, in terms of immigration, they need immigration to prop up their numbers in Congress. He's taking that on. And they understand what these deportations will do to their party. He's taking them on in the media. He's taking them on in the educational institutions. He's taking them on when it comes to using the power of the presidency to form policy. What you are seeing from them is in direct proportion to the magnitude of what Donald Trump is trying to accomplish with his presidency. So, yes, we have never seen hatred like this for any American president in our lifetimes. But we have also never seen a president willing to take on liberalism, socialism, the Democrat Party up front and fearlessly the way that Donald Trump is taking them all on. So every Republican president they hate, true. But this president, they hate with a special venom because he is so effective at neutering their power.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I said this week, and I'm going to say it again, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, my friend's brilliant strategy during the shutdown. Mike Johnson passed with the Republicans a clean CR. You all know that. Nothing, it was basically the language that Chuck Schumer had written. Sent it over to the Senate, and when he sent it over to the Senate, he told Congress, go home. Democrats shut down the government, kept it shut for 6 weeks. For 50 days, those weeks that the government shut down, plus the time right after he passed the CR, Congress was not in session. People were complaining. The Republicans, nobody's here to work. Didn't matter. What did Speaker Johnson do by sending them home? He did not enable some of the egotistical, narcissistic Republicans that today we see on parade to try to work their own deals as the shutdown was occurring and join in with Democrats to try to find a solution, because they weren't in session. They were out of town. Nothing they could do legislatively so the pressure was kept on the United States Senate. That was brilliant. He did something else that is brilliant. All the talk about the Democrats and these ACA, the Affordable Health Care Act subsidies that are skyrocketing. John Thune promised Democrats, hey, we're going to give you a vote on this. We're going to give you a vote on it. Johnson did not. And so cut 17, Mike Johnson explains why he never promised to do anything about the ACA subsidies.
The Unaffordable Care Act has failed the American people. It did exactly the opposite of what they all promised as it would do. The Democrats broke the American health care system. The reason your premiums are skyrocketing is because they have terrible policies, and one of them is subsidizing insurance companies. That's what this COVID-era subsidy was all about. Remember, the Democrat Party created this on their own. They're the ones that put the expiration date on it, December 31 of this year, because they knew it was a boondoggle. There was no way they could justify that being permanent policy. So what we have said is if there was going to be an extension of that, it would need massive reforms. You need some income caps on that. You should not be subsidizing health care for wealthy people. And also, you need all sorts of reforms on it. You need high protections on those things and other innovations. So the Republican Party has known this is going to expire at the end of the year, as everyone in Congress has. We were always preparing to work through that in a deliberative fashion through October, November, December. But ironically, the Democrats, because of their shenanigans, took a lot of the time off the clock on that for us to do it. So we're working on it in earnest. It is the Republican Party that will bring down health care costs, not the Democrats.
Brilliant strategy, Speaker Johnson. This guy, I mean, I hear people complaining about him, but let me tell you something. This guy is turning out to be a much more effective people than his Speaker of the House, than his critics have given him credit for. All right. One of the other things we should all be talking about is what's going on with SNAP. Secretary Brooke Rollins of Agriculture talks about this fraud and abuse in SNAP. And again, instead of worrying about Epstein, this is the stuff that we should be talking about as a party and trying to come solutions. That's cut one, Elias. This is Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins.
On day one, when I was sworn in, which was earlier this year in February, the very first thing I did was send letters to every single state in America and said, never before has the federal government asked for the data, but it is a new day. President Trump is the president. We know there's a lot of fraud. We need to help partner with you all to figure out how to make sure that this money and these benefits go to those who truly need it and not rife with fraud and corruption. 29 states, mostly the red states, responded with their data sets February, March, April. So the numbers that you're talking through, those are numbers that we have been collecting and analyzing since early summer, late spring. Okay. The fact that this spotlight shined on SNAP has allowed us to talk about it. But here's the most unbelievable news I have really just over the last few days, that 5,000 dead people, that was just 1 month. The number is closer to 186,000 deceased men and women and children in this country are receiving a check. Now, that is what we're really going to start clamping down on. 500,000 are getting 2. But here's the really stunning thing. This is just data from those 29 mostly red states. Can you imagine when we get our hands on the blue state data, what we're going to find? It's going to give us a platform and a trajectory to fundamentally rebuild this program, have everyone reapply for their benefit, make sure that everyone that's taking a taxpayer-funded benefit through SNAP or food stamps, that they literally are vulnerable and they can't survive without it. And that's the next step here.
And that has liberals aghast. Headlines were out today. I didn't print any of them because I already knew what was the details of it. but everybody's going to have to reapply for SNAP. Yes. But the real headline is that the blue states are not cooperating in sending the data on who's SNAP. The program is rife with abuse. Over 100,000 dead people getting SNAP benefits. You have one guy that goes across state lines, was collecting, that they know of, benefits in 8 different states. You have people bragging about, of course, how they cheat the system and sell the benefits. You have some retail environments involved in buying EBT benefits at a discounted rate, so they'll pay, let's say, a recipient $1,000 and cash in $2,000, just as an example. The whole thing needs to be revamped and reformed. And the blue states are not cooperating. They are not sending in the data because they know that SNAP is riddled with fraud. So that's a takeaway. We should be dealing with, instead of talking about Epstein. But no. Anyway, I played for you yesterday, those of you that were listening, the Seattle mayor. Want to do it again for those of you that haven't heard. Mayor-elect of Seattle, cut 4, and what she wants to accomplish in her tenure.
There's an awful lot that I want to accomplish as mayor. I want everyone in this great city of ours to have a roof over their head. I want universal child care and free K-8 summer care. I want world-class mass transit. I want great, safe public spaces where kids can run around with abandon. I want stable, affordable housing for renters. I want social housing. I want much more land and wealth to be owned and stewarded by communities instead of corporations. I want a robust economy with thriving small businesses, great living wage jobs, and strong rights for workers. I want a city where everyone has the basics of a dignified life, including healthy food, access to health care, and supportive communities. I want a city where your health and your life expectancy and your children's future doesn't depend on your zip code or your race. I believe that I will be stepping into office with a strong mandate to pursue this vision. I believe it is notable that all of that money focused on attacking me, but not my vision or platform. And that is because this vision and platform are supported by an overwhelming majority of Seattle residents, as demonstrated by the resounding victories of the other progressive candidates running for office in Seattle this year.
Free daycare, free summer care, whatever that means. So just drop your rug, whatever they are, off at the government for the summer, and you go about your way. Free daycare, we want more wealth for the community. We're going to take the money from corporations, I suppose, and give it so that the communities are wealthy. I mean, that's what that sounded like to me. I don't know what it sounded like to you. Free this, free that. Echoes of Mondami now on in Seattle. Seattle's already a mess. It's not going to get better. Okay, I mentioned Kevin Kiley, 23, very quickly, joining on the Republican Let's Make Epstein a Big Deal campaign. He is representative from California. There's a reason I'm playing this one.
I want to start first with this potential vote. You did not support the discharge petition. How are you planning to vote next week?
Yeah, I'm going to vote yes. I mean, I've said all along I'm for, total transparency here, consistent with protecting the victims. And so this is going to be coming for a yes up or down vote on the House floor next week, and I plan to vote yes.
So here's another one, decide over. Now, I think there's a reason that Kevin Kiley from California is going to jump over. He has been very upset at the entire effort to redistrict Texas. And then when Gavin Newsom said that he's going to pass what he did, which they did, for this mid-year redistricting in California, he's one of the ones that's going to be districted out if California gets their way. So instead of fighting about it, he's ticked off. What Donald Trump is doing and what Pam Bondi are doing is something altogether different. Cut 2, Pam Bondi, this is what is happening, was announced this week regarding the California redistricting effort.
It wasn't even illicit. They are flat out publicizing what they're trying to do and why they're trying to do it. They're trying to create seats based on race, and they can't do it. And we're going to hold them accountable just like any other state. I mean, they very publicly said, Sean, what they're trying to do, and it's illegal gerrymandering. They cannot do it. So, yeah, we sued them today. We're going to continue suing California until they start complying with the laws of our country, whether it's
and that's where
sanctuary
this
cities.
Is good. Donald Trump, this administration, not taking it with, and I just love this because, Democrats, Texas, that's okay. They're on offense. And if Republicans were smart, instead of trying to help Democrats push this Epstein business, they'd be actually trying to get behind the administration and their efforts all the way. Let us go to cut 21. Earlier this week, my friends, the Catholic bishops of America decided that they wanted to attack President Donald Trump's immigration policies. They released a statement basically that they disapprove of the mass deportation of immigrants. Tom Homan, by the way, they get a tremendous amount of money from the government for their charities helping illegal immigration. Tom Homan reacted to it. Here's cut 21, Tom Homan on the Catholic bishop's denouncement of the Trump immigration policies.
This week, the Catholic bishops sent out a special message. They said they get the countries to secure their borders, but they don't like these mass deportations. What's your message?
So the message, according to them, the message we should send to the whole world.
I can barely hear this one.
Is that if you cross the border illegally, which is a crime, don't worry about it. If you get ordered removed by a federal judge after due process, don't worry about it, because there shouldn't be mass deportations. Is that the message we send to the whole world? People are still put themselves in harm's way to come to the greatest nation on earth.
All right, I'm going to bail out of this one because the audio quality is so bad. But he pretty much, by the way, said, look, Catholic Church, at the end, he said, Catholic Church need to actually get their act together and work on the church. And they're wrong. And he's a devout Catholic. He's a Catholic himself. But not happy with that stance. Okay, there are some other fights going on in Congress. The H-1B visas. And that is a biggie. And I don't have time here to get into that. Maybe in the last hour we can touch on it briefly. But that is going to be huge going into this next political season. And it's not going away. But the administration saying they're going to work on it because that is also right.
Ooh. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, presents Rapid Phones.
Let's go to Jay in New Jersey, who has been holding for quite some time. Good morning, Jay. How are you?
An honor and a pleasure to speak with you, James. Thank you so much for taking my call. The socialists, quote unquote, of New York City and Seattle, even though they're socialists, they don't understand the basic social construct. And what I mean by that is Memdani wants cleaner air. He wants better apartment, more available apartments, less expensive food. He wants all of these things. These things already exist in the suburbs. When you decide to live in a city, you are basically making trade-offs. And those trade-offs include, yes, living in a smaller environment and so on. And I blame his, sorry to be harsh, I blame his garbage parents for not teaching him that if you go to school in Bowdoin on African studies, that you may not be able to sustain life living in the city.
Well, let me just say, I don't agree with calling his parents garbage. I don't know, his parents may have raised him, whatever. I just don't like that sort of language. Okay, but I understand your point. It seems to be a fundamental lack of knowledge about the way things work in the real world. And that's your point. I appreciate that. That's great. Let's move to Dom in Minnesota. Dom, you're up next.
Yeah, James. First of all, once again, fantastic segment, Lizzie Radabali. You know, Lizzie belongs in the Radio Hall of Fame as the generational bridge lady. I hope they induct her into that Hall of Fame. I really enjoyed that segment.
Thank you.
But I called about two people that have made a great impression on me, President Donald Trump and Senator John Fetterman. These two people that had near-death experiences have decided to do the right thing by the country and the party be damned. Both of them, one Republican, one Democrat, have been brutalized in the news just because they wanted to do right by the country. This is what the Democrats are. And I hope people understand that the gentleman who called you about, you know, how Democrats are sometimes not too bad, that this is the problem we have. We have to understand, right from Reagan and Nixon, Republicans have been brutalized just because of their ideas and, their love of country. And I hope people get the bigger picture that they're never going to be.
I think people are getting the bigger picture. And as I said, one of the reasons that Donald Trump is coming under so much flack is because he's doing such amazingly great things. I appreciate it. Bob is calling in from the state of New Jersey. Bob, how are you?
Good. Thank you, Bo. Thanks for taking my question. But we're being played with food prices. I was just at the food store on Tuesday. BJ's turkeys were 99 cents a pound. Butterball, I should have bought like a case. Eggs, $2.89 for an 18-pack. Today I read in the news, guess what's back in town? Oh, bird flu. And turkeys are going to skyrocket and eggs. Are we being played or what, Bo? This is ridiculous.
Oh, man. I have to ask the Countess of Conspiracy about this because I don't know whether we're being played or not. The Countess of Conspiracy, if anybody knows, she would know. I will ask her about it. Silas in Staten Island, you are up next. Your time is running out. You have about a minute.
Okay, yeah. A caller called in and asked a woman who was, in poverty, and he said, "Well, where's your husband?" And you rightly told him, "You got nerve, because my mother had to raise 9 of us because my father had a heart attack. It has nothing to do with somebody." And how about a family who has a cop or a fireman who dies? Don't you dare tell somebody, "Where's your husband?" Their husband was providing a home and may have got murdered. So that's the one thing that, really hit me. And my bone.
That was a call from a woman, by the way. I know the call you're talking about. Let me explain what that was, folks. Yeah. This woman called, and she was talking about what a difficult time she had as a single parent and how during the government shutdown, she was a government employee, and how she felt ashamed because she couldn't provide for her kids during that time and had to go to a food pantry. She'd never been. She was crying. She was beyond herself with the pain that her family was experiencing. We had a caller after that who said, "Well, where's her husband?" And that's what I reacted to. I mean, how dare you? You don't know the situation there. And that led Princess Diana to an analysis that I still think is probably one of the greatest pieces of analysis I have ever heard about what the younger American generation is going through. Our number duo is in the can.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's time for Radio Royalty with James Golden and America's Princess of Policy, Princess Di.
On a day that the headlines are exploding, it's MAGA's darkest hour, MTG, Epstein, other stories, Nancy Mace, all that good stuff. The one, the only, Her Highness, Her Royalness, Her Goodness of everything is here to help us dissect what is going on. Welcome this morning, Princess Diana, as MAGA explodes.
Thank you, Sir James. It's always wonderful to talk to you and help put things in perspective because, of course, nothing you're hearing is true. So we will tell the truth.
Good. MAGA's not exploding because Trump has unendorsed MTG. Diane, I've had it. I've had it with these narcissistical, ego-based, out-of-control egos, whether it's Marjorie, whether it's Nancy, whether it's Boebert, or this kid from California, Kylie. I've had it.
Yes, don't forget Thomas Massey. He was one of the 4 who signed the discharge petition to get to 218, which needed to bring it to the floor, which is happening this week. So I'm glad we're going to talk about it.
Well, let's go. Let's talk about it. First of all, number one, I love the Washington Post today. I cited this earlier. The Washington Post seems to have their panties in a wad because Donald Trump has now said, okay, let's investigate Democrats. And one of the stories that came out in the Washington Post was that Stacey Plaskett, this delegate, this Trump deranged delegate from the Virgin Islands, where Pedophile Island was, in the U.S. Virgin Islands. That's the home base of Jeffrey Epstein's Pedophile Island. And he was texting her during one of the congressional hearings. Democrat. So what's the scoop with all this Epstein stuff? What is the perspective? What about these renegade Republicans? Make it all make sense.
Well, before we get to the big picture, I want to go through some of the chronology. I want to add to what you said about Delegate Stacey Plaskett. She is not a representative. She's a delegate from the Virgin Islands. She does vote with the Dems. But basically, as you said, that Great St. James Island, Little St. James Island, the Pedophile Islands are in the Virgin Islands. And Epstein donated to all Virgin Island politicians, and he had enormous influence there because of the money. Interestingly enough, before we move on, Delegate Stacey Plaskett was sued by 6 of Epstein's accusers, saying that she helped and benefited from Epstein's sex trafficking in the Virgin Island area. The lawsuit was dropped. It was dismissed. However, this woman's name has come up before in association with Epstein. Also, in the emails that were released, Obama's White House Chief Counsel, Catherine Rumler, and Larry Summers, the Clinton Treasury Secretary and Obama's National Economic Council Director, they also appear. And so does Clinton. Interestingly enough, as you mentioned, Trump fights back, and he is putting, finally, the Department of Justice and the FBI on it, and basically Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, has already tasked the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton to take the lead on the investigation. So the pushback from Trump is, fine, you're going to start on this. I'm going to name names. I'm going to truly investigate the Democrats who are involved. And he mentions specifically Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, who is a Democrat donor. He started LinkedIn, J.P. Morgan Chase, and Trump says many other people and institutions. So Trump is on offense, which is where he wants to be. And this will also make it difficult for some of the documents to be released because this will be an ongoing investigation. However, I do want to talk a little bit about this as an operation, the Epstein operation that started in somewhat quietly in Trump's first term, but then went away. But then when Trump won in 2024, in November, The Guardian in November printed this headline: Jeffrey Epstein details close relationship with Trump in newly released tapes. Recordings from 2017 reveal Epstein talking for some 100 hours about the ex-president. Journalist Michael Wolff says. Now, you will see Michael Wolff's name in almost every wave of Epstein hyper activity. And the first pin was put down right after Trump won. And there were 2 other times that this Epstein fever came up. One was immediately after the One Big Beautiful Bill was signed, July 4th, 2025. And then when Trump wanted a victory lap, he earned to getting this amazingly through both houses of Congress and signed, which was deemed impossible by every political analyst. Once he got it signed, all Epstein broke out. And on July 8th, there was a cabinet meeting right after this had been signed, and there was a question, if you recall, to Pam Bondi about Epstein. And Trump was annoyed. He basically said, look, I'm here to talk about all of our accomplishments, and you're talking about a dead guy. And that was the door that opened a furor in the media. The entire month of July was all Epstein all the time. The Wall Street Journal published, which I think is fake, the birthday letter on July 17th that Trump supposedly sent to Epstein, which now Trump is suing the Wall Street Journal for $1 billion. And the entire media went nuts in the month of July instead of Trump being able to take his victory lap. And then it has quieted down since the summer. And then there was the winning that Trump got on the shutdown, November 12th, 2025. And you will not believe all of the political activity that happened that same day. The channel needed to be changed. The Democrats on the House Oversight Committee published three emails between Epstein and Ghislaine, I don't know how you say her name, Ghislaine Maxwell, and between Epstein and Michael Wolff on November 12th. In response, the House Republicans on the committee said, you're cherry picking these. And so they released 20,000 pages of documents. And on the same day, if you recall, when the government was open, instead of Trump being able to take a victory lap, which he deserved for marshaling all of this, then the Speaker, Mike Johnson, basically swore in the waiting Adelita Gravalja from Arizona, who had not, because the government was closed, was not being able to sworn in. She swore in, and she was sworn in, and she was the 218th,
yeah,
on November 12th. And so that was the thing that got it over the top. So the Speaker has to bring it to a floor by agreement this coming week. And the four Republicans who joined all Democrats, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert, Thomas Massie, and Taylor Greene. Now, three of those four have been known to be, and especially lately, anti-Trump. Both Boebert and Massie did not endorse Trump for 2024, and Marjorie Taylor Greene has been off the reservation ever since Trump basically pressured her not to run for senator in Georgia or governor. Mm-hmm. So those four have personal reasons, and online, the anti-Trump forces have been whipping themselves into hysteria. But the other things that happened, after November 12th was, as you mentioned, Trump basically, the battle was joined when Trump asked Attorney General Bondi to investigate Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan, and many other people and institutions, and that is happening. So to me, these are two operations that happened at two significant times, and as Trump has said, the Republicans have basically walked straight into this Democrat hoax. This has been seen to divide the MAGA base somewhat. And so that's the only interest that the Democrats have and the deep state has and the anti-Trump forces have. That is it, because they see that there is some disagreement among MAGA, and that is the entire mission, is to break up this strong political movement. It is not going to work ultimately, in my opinion, not even a little bit, but it is a media and online hysteria right now. The rest of the country is not involved in it. Although if you took a poll, and there are polls taken, people want everything released. Well, it's probably going to happen starting this week. There's going to be things released. So I just wanted to point out the obvious coincidence of these two huge victories in Trump's first term, the one big beautiful bill signing and the winning of the shutdown, those were the two times that all of a sudden we're changing the channel and talking about Epstein. And so my advice, and you have followed this wonderfully, is do not join in. Do not play the game. Do not fall into the trap. You know, the House of Representatives is going to do what it's going to do, but the rest of us are going to be, you know, tasked with supporting Trump. And as you have used the proper word, monumental accomplishments, monumental policies that are going to basically turn this country around as it's already happening. And that is what we need to be doing out here, is supporting the President of the United States and his policies.
Amen to that. Princess, then let's take a quick break. We're going to come back, and then we'll move into some of the other areas for discussion. I have had it, by the way. I keep saying I've had it. I am done. I have not tried to comment on some of these Republicans that continue to go off the reservation. Gloves off now.
Amen.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Our founders did not want a king, so they separated the power. That's the beauty of the Constitution. Our founders did not want to have, again, how can I say this? It'll sound like I'm awful about Trump because he's just a vile creature. The worst thing on the face of the earth. But
you think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah. I do.
Why is that?
Because he's the President of the United States and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States. In fact, he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court. He's abolished the House of Representatives. He's chilled the press. He's scared people who are in our country legally, but making them smashing into their cars and the rest. Now, I don't even want to go into that, but that's a whole other story.
That's from the woman who beats every stockbroker in America by being able to collect millions and millions of dollars trading stocks while she was in the office. That would be he's a vile creature. He's a vile creature. That's Nancy Pelosi. Nancy the Billions. Nancy, I make more money than anybody. I even make more money than that Buffett guy in the stock market.
Unbelievable. And, you know, as we were just talking about the changing of the channel to the Epstein stuff, I just wanted to celebrate that Donald Trump has ended the career of Chuck U. Schumer with beating him on the shutdown, and he has outlasted Nancy Pelosi, who is announced her retirement after a 40-year career. And this is how she goes out, this whining, complaining. And then she sounds to me like, you know, someone who is angry at other people for stealing her boyfriend. How can I say this? It'll sound like I'm awful about Trump because he's just a vile creature, the worst thing on the face of the earth. What a valley girl. I mean, she is complaining about someone stealing her boyfriend. And she sounds like what a complainer. Unbelievable. This is the woman who held enormous power for all of these decades, and this is what she's doing. She's like, he's just so vile. He's just the worst. It's just like, how weak is she going out? She's not leaving with a bang, but a whimper. And I just want to, repeat, because it went by pretty fast. You laugh, but not everybody might have heard it. Her complaints are, in her mind, this is what she says, he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court. How has he done that? By following the Constitution and nominating justices and having them be confirmed by the Senate as prescribed in our Constitution. He followed all the rules, and he successfully got 3 of his justices confirmed. And then she says he's abolished the House of Representatives. How on earth do these words come out of her mouth? Because the House of Representatives, even though they were basically on strike, they're back and they are operating as the Constitution prescribes. And then basically, what is this? He's scared people who are in our country legally. Well, there are people who have been whipped up by the media and are unfortunately scared, not rightly so. But what does this mean, smashing into their cars? Who is smashing into their cars? And then she kind of wimps out. I won't even go into that because she realized that she had no evidence for any of these things. And so she kind of faded away. But I just wanted to celebrate her end of her career and how weak she is at the very end, because Trump basically trounced her party. And the Democrat Party, after the loss or the going away of Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they have no leaders. Trump broke the Democrat Party. And, you know, she is exemplifying a TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. And that is what it sounds like. And I just wanted to reiterate, the Wall Street Journal had a piece by a psychotherapist this week. Is Trump derangement syndrome real? No therapist would render such a derogatory and partisan diagnosis, but I've seen it in my practice. Jonathan Alpert, who is a psychotherapist in Manhattan, says that 2/3 of his clients have it's an obsessive preoccupation with Donald Trump. They cannot even hear the name Donald Trump. They aren't sleeping. They can't enjoy time with their family. And he basically is telling people this is a real problem, and Nancy Pelosi shows what it sounds like.
Oh, I just love it. Princess Di, stay there. We got sound bites next, you and I, to go through.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Very briefly, Princess, you know, Nancy Mace is running for that race down to become the governor of South Carolina. Lord help them if it. She's running in the primaries against a woman by the name of the lieutenant governor, Pamela Yvette, who has served 2 terms right now. And it says in here, let me see, this is an opinion piece by Kathleen Parker in WAPO, I believe, that Yvette has been an unfailingly loyal supporter of President Donald Trump, a necessity in this state, whereas Mace has run hot and cold. An Yvette political ad titled Never Trump Nancy features Nancy Mace saying she doesn't believe that Trump has a future in the GOP. The ad also says that Mace hosted a fundraiser for Republican Trump critic and former Wyoming Congressman Liz Cheney. So, what do you think her chances are?
I think her chances are nil. She has I'm not going to characterize it, but she has some kind of emotional situation. I don't know if you read the story recently where she basically lost it in an airport.
Yes.
I mean, at the people who were screening her, and she did a "Do you know who I am" kind of thing. And
not only that, she called them all kind of derogatory names because there was a mix-up. They were supposed to meet her when she first approached the airport, and apparently there was some kind of mix-up, and they weren't there to greet her royalness when. I don't want to use that because you're the royalness. They weren't there to greet crazed. I'm sorry, I don't want to use that either. I don't want to call a woman crazy. No, look, and I don't want to make light of this. Nancy Mace has had some really horrible things happen to her. She was raped. And
Right.
she has, and I understand, and she's had a lot of emotional issues out of that. And so I appreciate her being strong and even being willing to talk about that, being able to talk about what it's like. But at the same time, can we honestly say that this woman, she's got some issues?
Yes, and she does basically react emotionally often in sort of almost hysterical ways, I have to admit, to events. And so I do not think that she will wear well on the campaign trail at all. Not stable.
Okay. Now, let's do sound bites. Usually I play sound bites of politicians, and I get your reaction. Today I want to change it up a little bit. I want to play sound bites from people and have you react to those. Let's start, Elias, with 29. And let's just hear some of the philosophy from the left as being expressed on social media outlets around the world.
You shouldn't be able to buy junk food with food stamps. You shouldn't be able to buy a second home until every person in the country has a place to live. That's my wokest take. Nobody needs more than one home. No one. Nobody needs a summer home. Homelessness is a huge issue in this country, and we're just letting people buy up homes, whether it's for them or whether they want to flip it or turn it into an Airbnb. I worked in real estate for 3 years, and if I had $1 for every time somebody told me to buy as many houses as possible in order to build wealth, I could have afforded those houses. But I don't need that many houses. I don't need to line my bank account with more money than I know what to do with when there are people out there struggling to find a roof over their head for their family. So if somebody wants to buy Little Debbie's with their food stamps, that is the least of my concerns.
Princess?
Okay. Anytime you hear the phrase which describes what people need in a negative way, you've got to basically, that's a red flag of communism. And unfortunately, there is this growing hatred of people in our generation who, as I mentioned, basically had their best working years during the Reagan upswing in the economy, and the trajectory of our economic lives was due to policies in the 80s, and now have homes that these other generations want. And so they truly believe that people who have lived in their homes, paid off their mortgages, and basically have a home, it's too big for them. They don't need it. They've got to make way for the other generations and have high taxes on their homes. So they're forced to get rid of the home that they've lived in for decades. There is a growing movement, and it's starting a generational warfare, and it's based on envy that these people have too much, they don't need it, and so whenever you hear anyone say, well, they don't need that, whether it's, any kind of economic number, whether it's income, whether it's assets or anything, you basically beware and say freedom does not allow you to tell me what other people need and don't need.
Last one, cut 31. And let's see, this is in line with what some of the things that we've learned about the new requirements coming in.
I'm going to lose my housing.
Government.
All because the guidelines for Section 8 have changed since you-know-who got into office.
Trump.
They're saying that if you have a child that is school-aged, meaning if you don't have to stay home with your child, you have to be able to obtain employment, have a full-time job, and you cannot be on Section 8 past 2 years unless you have a disability.
Oh, no.
Can you believe that? I have to depend on the government to help pave my way because it's really hard raising a child on your own. The government is pretty much your baby daddy, you know? You know you're going to get that check every single month. You know it's going to hit every single month, so you don't have to stress about it. And now, in 2 years, I'm not going to be able to use the government assistance that I need.
Oh my God. Where do you start? Basically, 2 years is awfully generous, if you ask me, where you have time once your child is no longer in the house to find a job and basically be able to be self-supporting. And I think that that is a minimal requirement that is perfectly legitimate. I think it's too generous. What about 1 year? To basically, if you don't have a child in the household, you're on your own and able-bodied, then you should be not taking up the Section 8 housing that should be used by people who truly in need. They don't need it. I sound just like that guy. But from a taxpayer standpoint, you know, this is a scarce resources as taxpayer money, and those requirements are, I think, very generous.
Okay. I have more of these, but I just can't. Because we don't have the time. I have a ton of them. Oh, I know one. Just briefly, we already played it, but I just want to 27. Just go ahead and play it one more time. Just a little bit of it, because we don't have time for the full thing.
Let me explain something to white people.
Yeah, Diana.
Our hair comes out of our head naturally.
She's talking to you, Diana.
Goodness. So when we're straightening it,
she's talking to you, Princess Di.
Standards, we are trapped by the straightness.
Trapped.
That's why so many of us can't swim.
Okay, Elias, hold on. You hear? She's trapped. She's a trapped. Just like Letitia was the fighting for everything. Because Trump is coming after her. And we are not going to. We are trapped by you white people, Princess Diana.
I do not think any woman is trapped into a hairstyle. I think
no, they're not trapped. No, stop it. They're not trapped. They're trapped. Say it right. They're trapped.
They're not trapped. Women decide what they want to look like. You know, whenever they go to the beauty parlor or they go to the aisle for hair coloring in the grocery store, and they decide individually what they want to look like. No one is making them. Try telling any woman, black or white, what their hair should look like. You're going to get a lot of scorn coming back.
Oh, so people aren't trapped with their hair and they can't swim because their hair is curly and they don't want to get out of the pool with under curly hair.
I think she's another one who's a little bit whiny these days.
Princess Diana, thank you so much.
Our Democrat women are whiny.
I'll tell you. Thank you, Princess Di.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Rhonda Shraka is here.
I gotta say, I agree with Princess Diana that nobody tells us how to do our hair, and if you try, I think you'll be at risk of getting a handbag to the head. We don't do well with being told how to do our hair. So I am unapologetically very curly.
Love it. Well,
yes.
What do you have for us today by way of words of wisdom, America's smaller, caffeinated mama?
Well, the other day I took my curly hair to the grocery store because we were getting low on milk, and I just know what that means here. If there's no milk for dunking cookies, I mean, coups have been staged for less than that, and I just can't take that risk. So I stopped my work at the office. I ran to the grocery store. I got the milk, and I was standing in line having my groceries rung up, and the young cashier looked at me, and she said, "Do Wednesdays apply to you?" And I stopped and I looked at her like my eyebrows are up in my hairline. What? And she said, "Do Wednesdays apply to you?" I mean, she's chirping this like a little cricket. And she pointed at a sign up at the register that said 10% senior discount on Wednesdays. And I said, "Whoa, I know."
Whoa.
I know, James. I'm skipping along at Time with the Sunshine, and she comes at me with that. And I said, "Well, it depends what age you mean." And she said 55. Well, as I told my husband later, I felt like throwing myself on the floor. I was just stunned. Anyway, I know how old I am, but I've never really looked at myself in the terms of I qualify for senior discounts now. And one of the reasons for that is because, as you know, we had a caboose way on behind at the end of our family train. And we just graduated those skinny little back pockets this summer. The graduation before him was 8 years ago. So 8 years after many of our friends have been finished raising kids, finished with the school system, we were still in parent-teacher conferences, birthday parties, sports, all of that. So it has genuinely kept me feeling young, and I love that. I was almost 39 when he was born. So, again, almost middle age, and I'm having an infant, and we're just finishing up, but I'm still feeding a teenager, so I feel young. The other reason I don't feel my age is because I have very colorful hopes and dreams and goals and ambitions. And I really thought about that this week after that little conversation, and I realized again that those hopes and dreams at my senior age, quote unquote, really, they're just shot through with hope. And it is that hope and that vision that keeps me going. And it's why retirement at this point doesn't interest me. It doesn't interest my husband. We have many things we want to go and do. So we don't feel our age. But I understand at the same time that I have passed the halfway point in my life. And really, I'm okay with that. What came to me immediately was that, okay, so that startled me, that question. But so many people never even live as long as I have lived. We had a great niece that died this summer at the age of 3 months. Another young mother, a distant relative, died of cancer this summer. She will not live to see her children grow. I have had that blessing, that opportunity. So it made me feel gratitude. At this age and this stage of my life, I have had many experiences and blessings because I have lived this long. The other thing that I pondered was that, again, as long as I'm alive, there is work for me to do, and it's true for all of us. We have a lot of elderly clients, and in our experience, as we observe the elderly, the ones who stay active, physically moving, who wake up each morning and they have things to do, friends to meet, they have purpose, they seem to live longer, and their quality of life is higher. This is not a scientific data-driven point, but it's an observation that we have made. And the ones who quit moving and quit doing and don't seem to have much purpose, they decline more rapidly. So again, not scientific, observational, but it's evidence that we have seen, and we have taken that to heart, and we have decided that as long as we're alive, we want to live. So for us, what does that mean? It means staying active and moving and busy as long as possible. For many years, we were busy building the business as we were raising the boys. Well, now, the boys are raised, the business is well established, and we are beginning to have the luxury of time to go where they are out in the world and to support and serve them, to support them in their endeavors. We want to do that with all of our hearts and as long as it's possible. That's a really good reason to stay alive and to stay healthy. It also means that we both, individually and together, we refuse to give in to a quiet, what I think of as a quiet, colorless resignation to the vagaries of old age, and we're just going to get sick and we're going to have pain. Well, we might, but we will not go into resignation. We will continue to use our giftings, which have not diminished with age. They have enhanced and increased because now we have decades of experience. So we still have so much to offer the world and people around us. The other thing that came to me was that we have amassed a storehouse of wisdom. It is the good and the bad things that we have gone through, some of which I have talked about on the air, and all the lessons that came with the good and the bad that have just over decades deposited wisdom upon wisdom, which now our sons can draw from and those around us. Our lives, I'm telling you, James, there are elderly people in our lives who have been the richest of resources for us. Just last night, we had two of those people here in our home. They came into our lives when we were young, married. We just had two of the boys in an extremely difficult and trying time. And those two shared their wisdom with us, They loved on us. They had also raised boys. They poured into us, and decades later, I remember clearly some of the very important things they taught us. So we had them in our home for dinner. We wanted to honor them and thank them. And that 19-year-old caboose that we're still feeding, he was sitting at the table, and he was listening to them. And after they left, he expressed so much respect and appreciation for their lives, for their witness, for their wisdom. He sent them a message after they left. He was so inspired. That is worth gold to my husband and I, to have elderly people of that caliber with that wisdom who can display that in front of our sons. We do what we can, but to have other people in their orbit who are quality, character, faith-filled, wise, it is just a gift beyond measure. So we were thrilled that he could experience that. For anybody who is in despair over their advancing age, your aches and pains, your seeming inabilities, you're still alive. There is still work for you to do. You have, no matter what shape your body is in, you carry an inviolable dignity bestowed on you by the fingers of the one who made us all. And you are a well of water, and you will carry sweet water or bitter water in your well that will splash out on other people. So the question for all of us to ask ourselves is, what kind of water am I carrying in my well? And if you don't like the answer, well, you're still alive. There's time to change and to turn that water sweet and a blessing and a source of refreshment and love and wisdom to the people in your orbit. There's still time.
Wow. That's Rhonda Schrock. You can find her essay at thedailybs.com today and rhondaschrock.com, SHROCK. Thank you so much, Rhonda.
Yes, my pleasure.
We got to go, folks. God bless all. God willing, back the same time next week. Bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
It's easy to get stuck reaching for the same familiar fruits and vegetables, even when you know a colorful variety is key. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements don't replace fruits and vegetables, but it makes it easy to add more variety to what you already eat. With 31 ingredients that are whole fruits and vegetables, switching it up is easy because we've already taken care of the hard part. Go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using discount code POD.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our U.S.-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.